Well, I feel like I have to scribble the word journey out of this now. But thank you for having me here. It's almost worth the massive anxiety of public speaking to be able to be here and to see you all and to thank you for everything that you've been doing over the course of the year. I am a peer support worker in Nottingham, and I'm also the peer researcher on the ImROC project. And I want to talk about being a peer researcher on the ImROC project because I've interviewed the pilot sites to contribute to the evaluation. And I've seen how you've all supported each other, peer supported each other, kind of, over the year at the learning events. And you've all left such an impression on me. I wanted to explain why recovery gets me so excited and why I've so much enjoyed interviewing you all. So, being a peer researcher and working with you all this year has given me so much. When I started the baseline interviews with the pilot sites, I was just a peer support worker who was taking my first few steps as a recovery master's student. I spent the first few interviews just praying that there would be no awkward silences, hoping my dictaphone would work and thanking the Lord that I'd found the right room. I thought I had a good enough understanding of recovery to guide me through the interviews. After all, it was the focus of my essays as a master's student, and as a peer support worker, it's all I talk about. I know what recovery means to me and what it means to people on the wards. I could even understand what it means to a peer support service, because I thought that implementing recovery would add to the peer support army that will one day rule the world. But beyond this, I'd never thought about recovery within organisations. Recovery has been a personal thing for me, but to understand organisational recovery, I had to explode everything I thought I knew to make it so much bigger. To do that, you have to take a concept that's been the preserve of service users, sometimes angry service users, and place some ownership on it. You've had to think about hope and control and opportunity and translate that for board members, for ministers, for policy documents and for staff, as well as at the same time completely understanding that hope and control and opportunity will mean something entirely different to every service user you serve. Easy. The enormity of this project hit me somewhere around the middle of my first interview, because as I began to meet you all and started to understand the massive task that you had all signed up to, I began to get a bit excited. In doing the interviews, I met the people who were making this their life, people that totally got the importance of recovery and had clearly spent hours, days even, getting their heads around ImROC so that they could pass it on to their organisation. Despite what I naively expected, my baseline interviews didn't establish a picture of sites that were desperate or that didn't understand recovery. Baseline was a fascinating look at sites that were made up of inspiring people who were raring to go. People who had acknowledged the 10 key organisational challenges and shown a massive determination to own them. And you have. In different ways, you have met these challenges with an enthusiasm that no one could have predicted and a determination that's completely inspiring. The baselines left me with a sense of the weight of work that needed to be done. I'd interviewed within the 6 pilot sites, and I had an idea of the distances you'd all planned to move. I didn't envy you at all. I was worn out before you'd even warmed up. I would have found it understandable for at least one person to say to me that this is too hard or this can't be done, but I didn't hear that once. All I've been hearing is, how can we do this? What does this mean for our organisation? Well, let's make this happen. There have been so many different responses to the resistance you've all encountered. Most interesting were the people within every organisation that have thrived on the punishment of it. The message I got from them was, this is hard, but God, this is fun. I'll compassionately beat you into submission with this recovery message. I just found that so beautiful because it mirrors life. It's how recovery should be approached by everyone. It's what I wake up in the morning and say to myself, and it's also a way of overcoming the negativity in the organisation. The values of hope and control and opportunity are just as relevant and useful to systems as they are to individual people. And with this understanding, the lines between staff and service users begin to blur. When the time came for follow-up interviews, it became impossible and most of the time unnecessary to distinguish between staff and service users. There has been a coming together over the year of organisational recovery and service user recovery. And I think where it was once a bit frosty, things are beginning to heat up. The interviews have left me with a feeling that recovery is becoming everybody's business. It's about everybody pulling in the same direction, championing humanity and normalising what it is to feel so distressed that you need some formal support. And that's why I'm so grateful to be here. When I hear you all talk about recovery, I get this feeling. It's like the excitement that you get when you're halfway up a roller coaster, mixed with the comfort you get when you step into a warm bath. And I feel like laughing and crying at the same time. Organisational recovery means so much to me, not just as a research assistant who hates awkward silences, not just as a peer support worker who has plans for world domination. It means the world to me because recovery is my world. Recovery is mine. It's my life. It's my existence. It's in every breath I take. It's not just a thing people are making me do or a paragraph in a textbook. It's the reason I'm still breathing. Not so far away from where you're sitting, there is a girl who is petrified. She's petrified that any day now the doctors will catch on, her risk will be assessed, and her freedom will become everybody's business but her own. This girl has only ever seen services as monsters and liars and game players, and she is fuming that that's all they are because she knows she needs something, but she has no idea what will fix her. And if a few years back that girl had been met by a recovery message and knew something of wellness planning and peer support, maybe she wouldn't have fallen so far. But then again, if that girl hadn't fallen so far, maybe she wouldn't have landed here now in front of you all. So I get these excited giggles about recovery because I understand how important it is and how life-sustaining it is. It gives you the means to tolerate life and then to change life and then to love life. And it's not just me. All the people that I've had the honour to work with, who I see on the wards every day and have shared their struggles with me. What you're doing means so much to them. I wish I had the skill to articulate it. I wish you could meet with them all so you could see the journeys of recovery you're supporting. You are all like sunlight melting snow. I can feel the summer is coming, and it's thanks to you.